Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. Your ears haven't mistaken you. I have returned. The chosen one has returned to the promised land of your black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Enough of myself indulging here. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I am the Luigi to the Mario of this show, apparently. The Mario for the last maybe almost 2 weeks here, Brian, since we got back on here. I mean, my schedule, technical difficulties, your schedule, it's been crazy, but it's good to have you back, or good to have me back.
It's always good to be back and finally getting my recognition.
You know why you're Mario? Because I'm the tall one, and you're the short, stubby one.
Okay, that's fine. I can live with that.
It makes sense. Luigi's the better one anyway. So, Anyway, we have things and stuff going on. Draft is coming up. My God, it's here almost. I mean, wow. It's here almost. I'm amazed.
10 days.
Yes, almost. And we're going to talk a little about the draft, but there was some other things and stuff going on since I've got to talk to you. And luckily, I mean, it's not often that we only have like one show in a week. I mean, we do have somewhat lack of topics to talk about and don't want to beat everyone's ears over Le'Veon Bell as usual. But there was a little bit of news this morning that I kind of want to talk about because I disagree with some people's, whether it be on the internet or my annoying cousin that's so ready to just forgive and bring James Debo Harrison back to the Steel City with open arms and let him retire as a Steeler, of which I don't believe those wounds heal from like December to April. I don't see that happening right away. He thinks maybe in a year. We've talked about this prior. I said he's not Marc-Andre Fleury. Heck, he's not even a guy like Rod Woodson or Franco Harris. He kind of left on bad terms, and I think it's going to take some time to heal.
Well, I mean, you know, Art Rooney II even said in an interview either on Steelers Live or someplace else that, you know, the idea of James coming back and retiring as a Steeler is certainly something to consider. He certainly has a legacy here. He has, you know, a history here. But he wasn't ready to say, yeah, let's do that right now either. That being said, it's a business. They know it's a business. They all act like it's a business. If James is really ready to say, I've had enough, I am done, and I would like to, you know, do my official retirement in Pittsburgh, I don't know whether it comes off as vindictive or even petty of the team to say no.
Well, they have the option of just not even opening that dialogue. And knowing the way Harrison is, he'll probably call him out on it because now it's, well, you know, I was a selfish child in the way that I left. And considering the enemy that he went to maybe poured salt in those wounds even more. I'm with you. I think it's something that, you know, all time heals wounds, and then people will look back on it and forget he even had a cup of coffee with the New England Patriots. And, you know, our very own Terry Fletcher, I don't even know if she was aware or forgot about Franco Harris having a year with the Seahawks, if you even call it a year. I mean, he left and he wasn't ready to go yet, but he was like 33, 34. I mean, his time was coming as a run. Geez, 34 as a running back. I mean, not many guys get up there. I mean, D-Will did, but, you know, not without injuries. And, of course, Harrison, I think I looked that up earlier, and it was only like 6 games, and or was it 8 games and 6 starts or something? He didn't play but maybe a half year with the Seahawks his final season. And there's other guys that have left, like Rod Woodson,
Greg Lloyd, Levon Kirkland. It's actually it's a very common theme because the Steelers know when they're at the point where they're going to continue to say, yes, you've got enough in the tank, and when they're going to say, we've got guys behind you and we can't pay you this much to stay here. You know, it's not an uncommon thing for guys to eke out the last few years of their career elsewhere.
Well, this isn't the same thing as a contract expiring, or they forced Polamalu kind of out of the door because he wasn't ready. They said, hey, it's time, and he still had time on his deal. This is a guy who planted his flag on, I want to play, and if you're not going to play me, I'm just going to be disruptive and annoying and just an ass until you let me go and let me go play for somebody else. And that's kind of what happened. I have no reason to not believe guys like who all came out, like Marquise Pouncey. Now, Bud Dupree, younger guy, but he says nobody helped him. And there were several others that, when you see their name next to these statements, it kind of raises your eyebrows. So I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that I found most striking about this, and it made it was the most, I guess, kind of aggravating to me was, NFL.com put out a blurb, a notice. Oh, James Harrison's going to retire. He's announcing his retirement. And the image they used on the mobile, it says Steelers James Harrison announces retirement. Okay, fine. They put him in a Patriots uniform.
And you know what? That's what really, if anything, seeing him with a selfie with Tom Brady like not even a week after this incident and being let go, it just grates you. And then he puts his kids in. He had to get custom-made James Harrison jerseys from somewhere as quickly as humanly possible. And then, of course, he got to play because they wanted to rest some of their starters in that final week of the season. I mean, if that game meant anything or they were playing anyone worth, any besides Jets, I don't know that he even plays there. And then he really doesn't play at all, he plays, but he didn't do much in the postseason. We went over that before. I don't mean to beat the drum on this, but I think the big thing was there's people that were talking about whether or not he had a Hall of Fame career. And it's tough because as much as I love somebody like a Hines Ward, the reality sits in is that there are guys out there, Terrell Owens, for example, that had far greater careers and are not in the Hall of Fame yet. You finally got Randy Moss in there, but, some of these guys are getting in first, second year of eligibility. There's still guys that are sitting around waiting, not to mention that they have to do the legacy thing now to get some of these other players from, pre-Super Bowl era, their due as well. So I think that, for me, James Harrison is not a Hall of Famer. Now, I understand one-time Defensive Player of the Year. So was Lamar Woodley. That does not – Lamar Woodley I don't think was. But Lamar Woodley was in that conversation. That does not make you a Hall of Famer. There's somebody else. I'm trying to think. It wasn't Lamar Woodley. I was thinking of Woodley because that was part of the discussion with how they were both having sex, et cetera, et cetera. But Harrison, he had a good run for a period of time there. All-time Steelers great, absolutely. Just like Hines Ward, just like Heath Miller. However, those three I don't see going into Canton, and if they ever do, it's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think James Harrison is a fringe. I actually separate him from Hines, and I'll talk about why in a second. But it does fit along with Heath Miller. It fits along with Joey Porter as well. And, overall in his career, Joey Porter has more career sacks than James Harrison. And Joey Porter's not a Hall of Famer and probably won't be one. But, he's 33rd on the all-time list of sack leaders. Are there guys behind him who are in the Hall of Fame? Sure. But, is Joey Porter considered a out-and-out definite Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. He just got on the list. He's not making it, and it's unlikely that he ever will. James Harrison falls into the same range. He dominated the game for a very limited span of time. He was a feared guy. He was a guy everybody knew. He was to some extent unstoppable. He has probably the most exciting play in the history of the Super Bowl in his side. But it's more than the demeanor. He reminds me a lot of Greg Lloyd in the sense that Lloyd dominated his era when he played. He was a name that everybody associated. His attitude was there. But when you got down to it and really looked at his career, was he a Hall of Fame player? is Greg Lloyd more or less deserving than James Harrison? That's an argument I think would be hard to make. Harrison is fringe Hall of Fame player. I don't see it. Now, the difference between James Harrison and Hines Ward is this. Hines Ward, just as a receiver, is in that same category. The difference is Hines Ward changed the position. Hines Ward was the best blocking receiver in the history of the game. And to me, that's what's different. He has something unique about his game that is unlike anybody else's. It was a difference-making kind of swagger that he brought to the position where he could take as much joy from, breaking Keith Rivers' jaw as he could, from making a touchdown catch. He loved hitting guys. Again, he's got a rule that was changed because of the way he played. And that's why I think Hines Ward is more than a fringe Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he'll get in. If he does get in, it'll be down the road. But because it's all about statistics, it's all about numbers. And while he has some of them, I don't know that the voters are going to go, yeah, you know what? He changed the receiver position in a lot of ways, and he was, without a doubt, the best blocking receiver. He deserves to be in. I don't know. But in my mind, that does elevate him above James Harris.
I think it's more memorable. I think especially since Hines, he was on the cusp of the end of his career. And I know he was looking I think he may have had a visit with the Jets and then said, nah, I'm going to retire. And I don't know if that would tarnish the way we think about him. I think of a guy like Alan Faneca, for example, that actually had kind of almost like a dispute like Le'Veon Bell's having right now, and is still welcomed back with open arms because everyone realizes, hey, look, I couldn't pay Faneca the amount of money and still retain all of these other guys, and it was kind of a business out of control thing, whereas, there's another player that's like, hey, get me out of here so I could go play for the rival. You know what I mean? Everybody was looking forward to it. Let's not forget that. But I think another thing that I was debating on this is James Harrison a top 5? I don't want to say linebacker. We may have to designate an outside linebacker or pass rusher with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know. I may be hard-pressed. I may be able to find several names that stand out or at least, let's face it, he's the all-time sacks leader, but what was that, 1982 when they started keeping track of that. So you don't have Jack Ham's numbers there. And
it's a different, that's a different position at the time.
Exactly.
Because that outside linebacker is just different because he's not Jack Ham.
No. And then there's Greg Lloyd, as you mentioned. There's Kevin Green, who, 3-4 seasons in black and gold. There's Mike Merriweather. So there are other names to compare here. I don't know. He's got to be in consideration as the all-time sacks leader. But then you look at that and compare that around the league, and like you said, when you're talking about linebackers currently in the Fame, and you're talking about, and some of them inside, some of them outside, 4-3, 3-4, whatever. But I mean, you look at just linebacker in general, and you have like Nitschke and Butkus or Ham and Lambert or Mike Singletary, Lawrence Taylor, Derek Thomas, or Derek Brooks, Junior Seau, Kevin Green, Brian Urlacher, and Ray Lewis being the last 5. Man, I don't know. It's hard for me to put Harrison in that same category, and there's going to be a line of guys that are going to be retiring soon too that are going to jump to the all-time great Steeler, all-time great NFL player. Maybe he's inching into that upper echelon with a maybe. It'll be tough for me to say just outright yes. He may have to wait, and at some point, maybe he gets his nod.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I do think he'll eventually be a Hall of Honor candidate in Pittsburgh because that fits. He was a definitive face. He contributed heavily. I think the Super Bowl TD gets him in regardless as a Hall of Honor candidate at some point. That's not going to come this year.
Absolutely.
At some point. When he can come back and he's old and crotchety and he can all of the resonance from people remembering him in that hideous red, white, and blue thing, has faded. But I think if you're going to rank him among outside linebackers, the real question to me, Jack Ham stands far and away to me as the best outside linebacker the Steelers have ever had. And I don't know that it's close between him and the second person. That's how much better he was. But it's a different kind of outside linebacker. It's not these rushing outside linebackers that we have in a 3-4. We're talking now about a 4-3. So it's a little bit different. But, you start to think about Joey Porter, Greg Lloyd, Jason Gilden, and James Harrison.
Yeah.
Gilden is the guy he beat out. So
that's true.
For the sack leader position. Is Harrison a better player than Jason Gilden? Probably. I would go with, I'd rank him above that. Is he better than Joey Porter? That's a little more iffy.
Jarvis Jones?
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. But that's actually a great segue, Jarvis Jones, because as we start to look at the drafts, there are some linebackers, and one that has been getting some interest happens to be a Georgia linebacker.
Yeah, it is. And before we jump on that train, we were debating, I guess we're going to jump the linebackers first, but I mean, the greater need for the Steelers. I think we have beat this to death. We've talked about quarterbacks. We've talked about running backs. We feel it's going to be a defensive pick more than likely, unless there's we're talking about Geis, and they have draft flexibility, but they're definitely going to get a linebacker and safety, and we're talking about which one's more important. But the most important thing that everyone needs is the Steelers War Room. That's the guide me and you.
Absolutely.
The guide me and you wrote. And folks, it's available. eBooks are sold. If you are a Kindle or an Apple iBooks person, obviously the two biggest digital bookstores out there, it is now available $3.99 for this limited period of time, and then sometime in June or July we'll probably discount it, because then you'll be reading about things that we got wrong. But right now we're taking a look at this from the Steelers draft perspective, and after our cheap plug for the ebook that is available everywhere ebooks are sold, we got to look and see what's the more important position here. And since I last talked to you, the Steelers have added a little bit more depth. We got the missile, Nat Burhey. Yeah. He's an upgraded Robert Golden, so I don't see much more than that. But you put Burnett out there, and you have Sean Davis, and then you have J.J. Wilcox and Burhey. That's four good safeties, I think. They got quality depth. I think they could still add another piece and look ahead beyond the 2018 season, maybe. Maybe a guy doesn't have to start right away. Maybe somebody they could develop. Maybe they don't have to burn the first rounder. That the linebacker spots, we said the edge class, a little bit of a spoiler with the book, the edge class isn't too great this year, especially when you're picking 28th overall. Inside linebacker, there are a number of intriguing prospects at a variety of different rounds here that the Steelers could be looking at, and one of them is from Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's an outside linebacker. Are you talking about Roquan?
He's really more of an edge guy. I'm talking about Lorenzo Carter.
Oh, Lorenzo Carter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about Lorenzo Carter, because let's not even talk about Roquan Smith. He's not going to be around. All right? There's no point in getting anybody salivating over Roquan Smith.
That's true.
Because he's gone. He's going to be gone top 10. If he's not gone top 10, it's because people lost their minds over quarterbacks, and 5 of them have gone in the top 10.
Exactly.
But the guy who has had gotten some conversation is Lorenzo Carter, but he's really more an edge guy. He's not really going to be an inside linebacker kind of guy. He's an edge guy. And for those of us who lived through the 4 years of Jarvis Jones, picking a outside linebacker from Georgia feels a little,
suspect.
Sucky.
Yeah.
You want to shower.
Well, I think that's what Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin are like when it comes to anybody from Alabama. I mean, they just do not pick Alabama guys, but Ohio State guys, hey, all on board. You know what I mean? The more the merrier. Yeah. And there's some links here with some of the players that are available. I think linebacker, just because 3-4 and because – let's face it right now, it's Bud Dupree. They got to make a decision. They could have him back for another year. And then TJ Watt, and there's nobody else. Chicolo has a tender. Likely he'll be back. Keon Adams didn't even play last year. Yeah. He was on injured reserve. They are thin there. And the linebackers make the world go round when it comes to this system. Inside, obviously, no Ryan. Signed John Bostic. Vince Williams is in the last year of his contract. And then you have some guys with playing experience, but maybe not the pedigree of like Tyler Matakevich. And by the way, there's no T in Matakevich. And sorry, I had to, things pop in your brain and you think about it right now. And LJ Fort, little fine. He knows what I'm talking about.
I can't spell.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got 7 or 8 guys where you really need 9 or 10, and they're definitely going to add, and they could bring back Arthur Motes or somebody like that. Sean Spence is, I hope he bought a comfortable couch, because that's where he's going to be watching the 2018 season on NFL Sunday Ticket. So, you look at some of the players that have visited, and I don't have it up to date from our list, but there's a number of guys, and there's the one that Zach really likes too as a late round guy. We'll get to him, but I don't know. I don't envision Tremaine Edmonds being around when the Steelers pick at 28. We want to salivate over Rashaan Evans, but he's an Alabama guy, and they don't seem to ever go for Alabama guys. But on the flip side, you got some question marks with Evans and things he didn't do with the combine and whether he's got it all there. Then there's the guy that everybody's drooling over, Leighton Vander Esch for Boise State, and you say to yourself, this guy's from Boise State. So do they go with the smaller school kind of guy there? It's not one of those, Power 5 conference teams or programs, but definitely a program that's been really built up since I used to watch them play 1AA football in the 90s against my alma mater. I don't know. It seems like, it's the scales of balance going in either direction. LVE, as we've been calling him by acronym, Leighton Vander Esch, appears to be the man, but whether or not he is there at 28 or the Steelers would make a move to try and get him, everybody's looking at him. What? Eagles, Cowboys. I think the Bengals may even have shown some interest in him too.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see if it's a linebacker. We're keying in linebacker or safety with the top pick. Anything else would kind of surprise me. Wide receiver, running back, quarterback, whatever. Tight end. I mean, Dallas Goedert is had a visit. Where the heck's he from? South Dakota State? South Dakota? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these places up there where Carson Wentz lived. The Dakotas, throw them together. They're both boring. Sorry if anybody's out there living in Dakota. I still love you, but I've been there. You can't lie. You can't lie to me about this, okay? It's just, there's all kind of guys that might fit the bill here. Shaquem Griffin, Central Florida, killed his combine thing. A linebacker either way would be, I don't know. That's the way I lean, but there's some safeties too that I like. There's a few other guys on this list that you probably want to talk about. I have to say it because I've been wanting to say it on the show. Josey Jewell. That's a fun one.
Josey Jewell. The outlaw Josey Jewell.
So's Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard's another favorite.
Yep. Both of those guys. Like here, the breakdown is really like this, right? There's only 4 guys that the Steelers really are probably going to consider at a linebacker position in the first round, 2 of which aren't going to be there, and that's Tremaine Edmonds and Roquan Smith. That leaves them with Leighton Vander Esch and Rashaan Evans. Yep. Those are your 2 potential first-round picks at linebacker.
And they could both be gone, too, before 28.
Quite easily, they could both be gone, which is why safety comes into play. It's why running back comes into play. It's why we could all be completely surprised because they could just go best player available, and it could be anybody from a wide receiver to a tight end to a lineman, whoever happens to be there. Somebody that slips on their board and gets in position, that could be what happens. It's also the reason that Zach and I were speculating this could be a draft where the Steelers act very un-Steeler-like and move up. If somebody that they want starts to drift the way Troy Polamalu did, this is a chance where they could maybe try and make a move to get somebody, but they'd have to drift pretty low for somebody like Edmonds or Smith. So, then if everybody's gone in the first, are they going to be in the same boat in the second? Because Darius Leonard, who could be who both Zach and I really like a lot. The only real concern with him is, can he add some bulk to his frame? And the good thing about Leonard is he's a kind of guy that can develop, right? So the signing of John Bostic is very helpful if you end up drafting Darius Leonard in the second round, because you give him a chance to grow. The same is true of somebody like Josie Jewell, who they may have to take in the second round because he may not last until the third anymore after he had an outstanding pro day at Iowa. There is also a guy, Tigray Scales from Indiana, who is a decent inside linebacker position prospect. Could be somebody they target second, third round. Micah Kaiser from Virginia, probably lower down the board. And even guys like Jerome Baker from Ohio State. So there's stuff and that people can look at, or there's guys that they can look at in the second and third round. It's just, they're going to be more developmental. So are they going to be there? Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see in a few days.
Yeah, and, just to throw it out there, and it's so tough we kind of put edge rusher as outside linebacker in the guide, but there are some defensive line guys. There's conversions. There's always conversion projects. And Sam Hubbard is another guy who I don't know that he'd be around, but defensive end, Ohio State, 6'5", 265, that could be one of those projects that moves outside too. And they expressed interest in a lot of Ohio State guys, which we like being the Buckeye guys. But some of the late round guys, another Alabama guy, he's been banged up. One was a knee injury that kind of took him off the shelf, and he may be higher up the boards if it wasn't for some of his misfortunes. Sean Dion Hamilton, who they've expressed a lot of interest in, and I'm trying to see. There's a few other guys I think at the tail end of this. What was it? Chris Worley, who may even go undrafted. Ohio State. Yeah. You may have a guy like that ends up in camp unsigned, undrafted, and signed as a college free agent. So
Jannard Avery from Memphis. That's another guy that they can look at later in the rounds. And there's another guy, Fred Warner from BYU.
Yes. That's who I was looking for as I was scrolling, because he's right above Worley's name here. I have him.
Yeah, and we got commentary. Somebody asked us in one of the other podcasts, "What's the knock on Malik Jefferson?" And I was high as a kite on Malik Jefferson early on in the process. The problem is, the more you look at his tape, and you as Tommy Jaggy said, you can't look at his senior year tape or his last year tape. You got to look at, or not his junior year. You got to look at his sophomore year, because there's a vast drop off between him as a sophomore and him as a junior. And the concern is, while he performed well at the combine, he didn't perform unbelievably well at the combine, and that was what's going to shoot his stock up. He just doesn't look like he has the instincts or even the drive to play the position the way it needs to be played.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to want the guy that wants to get out of his wheelchair, like Ryan Shazier, go out there and crawl on the field to tackle somebody. I mean, which, by the way, him standing, I don't think anyone made as big a deal of it as they did when he was at the Penguins game with Marc-Andre Fleury and the Vegas Knights. But the first playoff game in the middle of the week here, he was standing on his own. He had all kind of pictures on Instagram. He's looking good. So, I mean, I think he's crazy if he wants to do this return. I don't know. It's tough because it's hard to take away something you love. I'd probably want to return too, and everyone would think I'm nuts. So I totally empathize with that. And I just he says he feels a lot better. He looks good too, but safeties. They've shown a lot of interest in safeties too, Brian. Now, the head of this class, let's throw out the guys that aren't going to be there. Derwin James, for sure, gone.
Yeah.
Definitely gone. Let me see. They've shown interest now. I don't know. Minkah Fitzpatrick, you think he'll be there from Alabama?
Oh, no shot.
I don't think so either. Ronnie Harrison, possible. Alabama teammate, possible, right?
Ronnie Harrison will. I would be stunned if Ronnie Harrison is not there.
And then two that we think that will, and obviously testing great, like we were talking about with Josie Jewell. I got to say it again. Justin Reed from Stanford. They've expressed a lot of interest. And then also Jesse Bates from Wake Forest as well. So they're definitely looking, as last year it looked like they were heavily invested in trying to get an edge guy with their first-round pick. I mean, it was all T.J. Watt and Derek Rivers and a few other names mixed in there that actually ended up going earlier. I'm trying to think of the guy that went to the Cowboys now, and I'm losing it. I'm losing my mind as if that's anything normal. I think they've also done something with Marcus Allen from Penn State too, but I don't necessarily know. These guys are maybe fringe first-rounders, but I think we have to remind people that even though it's a first-round pick, it's 4 picks away from being the second round. So you can't think of it in those terms. You're splicing up. You've got the top 10 picks in the draft. That should be the cream of the crop. Then you got about the next 10 to 15 guys, and that's right underneath. And then you start to bleed round 1 into round 2 as a group. I hate thinking of it as rounds because I don't know that 32 players are always going to be surefire starters. If all, you know what I mean, with those top 32 picks, you would like it to be that way, but I don't think you could will it to be that way. So safety and linebacker. I don't know. Justin Reed. I like Justin Reed personally. I think he's the guy. They were even talking about his interviews. They were talking about his not only his instincts, but his football IQ. And Stanford. I mean, what else can you say about that? So I think there could be something there. You know what? Were we forgetting? No, I didn't mention the link, the South Carolina State link with Darius Leonard and possibly Jay Wobble as well.
Yeah, Jay
so
Wobble.
There's some probably inside intel on that as you may have. So not to jump back to the linebacker group, but safety, I'm thinking that's looking pretty good too.
Yeah, it's. Again, it all depends on as things fall and what teams of need hit where. Because Justin Reed could be there at 28. They could have to move up to try and get Justin Reed. Jesse Bates probably will be there at 28, but is that too early for him? I'm not sure. Ronnie Harrison, again, will probably be there. Ronnie Harrison is like Mike Mitchell, too, in my mind. And not to disparage Mike Mitchell, but he's got communication problems. He's not going to be the guy to get everybody in place. He's solid, but he's not going to be that guy that takes control. Whereas Jesse Bates is, and Zach has said this multiple times, is the real true like free safety center fielder type guy in this draft. I'm okay with them taking Jesse Bates in the first round if there isn't a better option. I would love him to be there in the second round. I think it's unlikely he'll be gone before they pick then. But as you get down, lower in the draft, everybody was high on Marcus Allen. Again, Marcus Allen is probably more of a thumper. People tried to make the excuse that's just how he was played at Penn State. But there's a reason that's how he was played at Penn State. He might be able to shift and give some position flexibility. But if they draft Marcus Allen, that means Sean Davis is going to move to free. And I don't know whether that's great. There's another guy I do like, though, and it's an Edmonds that is the brother of the Edmonds we ain't going to get. And it's Terrell Edmonds, and he's a safety out of Virginia Tech. He's not the athletic freak his brother is, but he's a guy that you watch. He's going to go sooner rather than later in this draft and will creep up on some people. I like the way he plays. He could potentially be a guy that they look at. I think you're absolutely right. The first round they're going to try and go linebacker or safety. But with the Steelers, it's always true. They're not going to overextend for the position just because they think that's what they need. If those guys aren't there, if the guys they want are gone, they're going to look at the rest of their draft board and figure out who is there. And whether that becomes a running back or somebody else, we don't know.
I love that you said that. There were two things that right there is a perfect segue into how Juju Smith-Schuster ended up on this roster last year.
Yep, absolutely.
You were talking about center fielder. I think a lot of people just think safety. Both safeties don't perform the same function or the same job. So we were discussing this as to whether or not Sean Davis has the tools to slide over. Maybe nobody has to slide over. I don't know if they look at Morgan Burnett as the guy's utility knife, the Swiss Army knife. He could play every position in the secondary, and he may be this money backer type that they've been looking for. The guy, they were using Will Gay as sort of that guy that covered tight ends last year in dime packages. If you're not familiar, folks, that would be 6 DBs. Usually it's 4 corners and 2 safeties, but we've seen the Steelers kind of experiment with using Robert Golden or J.J. Wilcox or somebody out there as a third safety, as an extra DB on the field, and a lot of times that was Will Gay last year. But some of the guys they talked to and met with, and they didn't really look at Jamal Adams. He went 6th overall to the Jets last year. Malik Hooker, really not on the radar either, 15th overall to the Colts. We knew they were the cream of the crop. Peppers was a guy, Jabril Peppers from Michigan, and the Browns took him. They moved up to take him, or I'm sorry, I think they moved up to actually take Njoku because they thought David Njoku, the tight end, may have been going to the Steelers too. Both of those guys were linked to the Steelers during the draft. Steelers take T.J. Watt. So something's there. Now you got to wait for round 2, and you're talking about, well, could Jesse Bates or Justin Reed fall into round 2? And I think that's maybe what the Steelers were thinking. And then Budda Baker goes to the Arizona Cardinals, 36th in the second round. Marcus May goes to the Jets. Jets double dip on safeties. Maybe somebody didn't see that. I don't know that Marcus Williams was a guy with the Saints that were really on the radar, but definitely, let's see, Justin Evans goes to the Buccaneers, and then there's Obi Melanofu and Josh Jones, 1 pick before the Steelers are on the clock, goes to the Green Bay Packers. And I got to say, Josh Jones is the guy that's probably replacing Morgan Burnett up in Green Bay this year. I think, I mean, there's no coincidence there. That's why the Steelers were looking at Burnett, but they were probably looking at Josh Jones as well. So there you go. Look at all those safeties just fly off the board, and then all of a sudden you're left holding the bag. What are you going to take? So maybe it's a linebacker, but I don't know that we really answered the question as to which one's more important, but maybe we showed that it's going to be very flexible between those 2 positions early on. And you know what? Worst case scenario, all that dries up. I'll take the best player available and get a Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I will state emphatically, linebacker's more important right now.
Well, yeah.
Emphatically.
You know,
just in case we were trying to be ambiguous, it's more important.
Oh, you know what? And it's not even a hot take here. If I have to plant my flag, if I have to pick one, I'm going to say linebacker as well, just because it's more of a need. And just, I look at the depth with the safeties, and I think that's the thing that even when we're talking in the back rooms, we're talking with Zach, we're talking with Eric, and we're kind of arguing over things. I look at who they're taking with the top picks overall. By all means, they're going to grab a safety. They're going to grab a linebacker. I think they get a running back. I think they get a wide receiver. And who knows what else they get. Maybe 2 linebackers. But they don't have a whole lot of picks either to deal with. They got, 2 in the 5th, no 4th, no 6th, and then 2 in the 7th. The day 3 doesn't look all that great. You got days 1 and 2, they hit a home run and knock it out of the park. Maybe they forego a 2019 pick or trade someone, Le'Veon Bell, and maybe get some. How about that? What was the one we were just reading? They were talking about, was that ESPN where they were talking about
somebody did a whole set of drafts on everybody makes it, every single pick, and the pick that they, of course, what they had for the Steelers doing was trading up to the 6th round, or the sixth pick.
Overall, yeah,
trading Le'Veon Bell to Washington for the 6th pick, and then the question all became, well, who are they going to take? And of course, everybody was the draft board was. The article was Saquon Barkley. I don't want Saquon Barkley.
No. Okay. I would not the collateral to give Bell for Barkley. I'm sorry, folks. I don't like that trade at all. To get somebody else there, but I don't know. That's
you trade up to 6. Maybe you get Bradley Chubb. Maybe you get Bradley Chubb, and I'd take Bradley Chubb in a heartbeat.
I couldn't argue that.
Yeah, maybe you get Tremaine Edmonds then. I understand we'd have a running back problem at that point, but we can address that. We may already have addressed that with Stephen Ridley and James Conner.
You got to mention Ridley. We didn't get to talk about that, and we're almost out of time here. I love that signing. I was just talking about how well he did in his short little period of time, and whether or not Bell was expendable, and like adding the missile. I like the Ridley pick. I was very fond of that.
Yeah, and look, it's not going to surprise me at all if we get to that day and the draft day, and the only things that would truly, honestly surprise me is if they took a quarterback, because I don't see the point. if they took almost literally any other position in the first round, based on the board, I think it's possible. I'd be surprised if they go quarterback.
We are anti-quarterback here at Steel City Underground. We
That's
always
right.
have been.
The heck with them.
Unless you're Zach Celedonia, who was part of the Deshaun Kaiser hive last season. And we tried telling them. We tried to wake up the youth, and they just didn't want to listen to us. So we're just the cranky old guys here. But what can you do? What can you do? You know what?
Get off my quarterback lawn.
That's right. Get off now. We only want defenders here, or Darius Geis. So anyways, they would still have the 28th pick too. If in that scenario that just happened, it was a straight up with Le'Veon Bell, a 3-way trade with like the Colts. Go look it up. It's insane. It's usually the stuff Brian comes up with, which by the way, buddy, it's good talking to you again.
Absolutely. I've missed you.
And thank you everyone who has subscribed out there in YouTube land. We love you too. And everyone who has purchased the Draft War Room book, thank you as well. We were very appreciative. So,
and everyone who's donated to the March of Dimes contest, we love you as well.
Also, much love everywhere. We're closing in on the draft, and we're closing in on this show. So until next time, he's Brian, not Mario, not Super Mario either. And I'm not Luigi. My name's Joe. Until next time, be safe, be good. We'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.